boutique crawl returns to Pittsburgh for its third season. I'm Bronte Sorosky with how this event helps local business owners get ready for the next season and helps promote them within their community.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Mike Mahoney. Police say one man is dead following an officer-involved shooting in Joplin. According to the Joplin Police Department, a person called 911 saying they were being assaulted by a man with a weapon. Officers responded to 1523 South Kentucky Avenue in Joplin around 3:45 this afternoon. During the incident, there was an officer-involved shooting involving 3 officers. The suspect that was shot during the incident has died. His name is being withheld pending notification of next of kin. The officers involved are being placed on paid administrative leave, and the Missouri State Highway Patrol has been called in to assist with the investigation. No officers were injured during the incident. This is a developing story, and we'll have more details as they become available. One man is dead and a woman is seriously injured in a crash following a police pursuit in Montgomery County. The Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened Friday morning just before 11 a.m. on County Road 3875, about 2 miles east of U.S. Highway 75. A car driven by 28-year-old Justin Frostad of Neodeshe was involved in a police pursuit with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office when he lost control after crossing railroad tracks. The car then veered off the road, overturning several times before stopping in a field. Frostad was killed in the crash, and his passenger, 20-year-old Shania Parks of South Coffeyville, Oklahoma, was taken to the hospital in Tulsa with serious injuries. Fatal auto accidents in the U.S. have spiked significantly in the first half of 2021, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation. They say more than 20,000 people died in accidents in the first 6 months of the year. The department also says the fatal auto accidents are up about 18.4% in that period. It's the largest 6-month increase in traffic fatalities since the Fatality Analysis Reporting System started back in 1979. Vehicle miles also jumped about 13%, more than 173 billion miles, but the DOT also claims incidents of speeding and traveling without a seatbelt are higher than they were during pre-pandemic times. Shoppers were out and about in downtown Pittsburgh today for an annual event supporting local businesses. KON's Bronte Sorosky checked it out.
A yearly tradition is back in Pittsburgh for its 3rd year.
So the city of Pittsburgh puts it on, and it's the super cool event where we invite the community out to come and shop local.
The boutique crawl in Pittsburgh has shops in downtown joining forces to give back to shoppers, and they're doing it with some Halloween spirit.
Some places give you a discount if you wear a costume. We're doing a spin the wheel, so you can spin the virtual wheel and get a discount that way.
The crawl gives customers a chance to browse new boutiques in Pittsburgh, which in turn helps them get more customers and gets them ready for the next season.
It's just kind of a fun way to celebrate the holiday for one, and kind of a good way to get people to come in and right before we're ready to decorate for our holiday season. So we all run different specials, and it's just a great promo to get everybody out and about in Pittsburgh.
It's actually one of our busier days of the year because people are shopping for the holidays, and it's really great to see the community come out and support local because I think it's the best way to shop.
For store owners, it's a time for them to connect with the people in their own community.
Gosh, just the fun of seeing everybody coming in. We've had, it's just the atmosphere. The weather's great today. It feels like a good fall day. We've been playing our Halloween music, which just kind of, it's just the atmosphere of it all. And I love fall, and just knowing that next is the kickoff to the holiday.
The crawl was not only good for area businesses, but also for them to build connections with their clientele. In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorosky, KUAM News.
Looked like we had some decent weather for that crawl this morning. Let's talk to meteorologist Nick Kelly for more. Nick.
We had a pretty okay day overall, Mike, and certainly dry and nice to see after we had quite a bit of rain just over the past few days alone. But this evening we've kept the view from 7th and Rangeline quiet and dry. Nice change of pace. 35 for quite a cold start this morning after we bounced back to 63 degrees this afternoon. Thankfully, even though we had nothing to worry about here, we are keeping things quiet for tonight. But our next cold front is already working into central parts of Kansas. That's the next front on the way in by tomorrow morning, and with it, it's going to bring some cloud cover our way, but not a big drop in temperatures, at least not as cold as this morning was. Most of us will drop back to 43, but you can see even with partly sunny skies and with the north breeze behind the front. It's going to be a chilly Halloween, but we'll keep things dry with highs around 58. But unfortunately, Mike, more rain chances are in the forecast. We'll break down when we'll see our earliest chance roll on in coming up in a bit.
All right, sounds like a plan, Nick. Thanks so much. Some 8th graders from Joplin South Middle School got an early start to their Saturday in downtown. The students spent their morning planting flowers in the city's planters along Main Street from 1st to 8th Street and along Joplin Avenue around 6th Street. The group was planting fall flowers to help keep the planters fresh and pretty through the fall season.
Oh, it feels amazing, helping the community and everything. The flowers, it's a little impact, but a little can do a lot.
And those flowers were provided by Albert's Greenhouse of Joplin. Plenty of people were on hand for the fall workday event over at Joplin's Peace Church Cemetery today. The event was organized by the Peace Church Cemetery Association. Helping out with the cemetery cleanup were 50 to 60 cadets with the Joplin ROTC. Volunteers assisted with tree limb and weed removal and also placed section markers throughout the cemetery. The Missouri Department of Agriculture has announced 12 projects that will receive a grant to help with urban food insecurity. The Joplin Empire Market was one of those 12 recipients on that list. The grant is a matching grant for $45,000 that the market will put towards a commercial kitchen. Officials with the Empire Market say that kitchen will help vendors provide more food options, as well as help out the Market Sprouts program, which provides free meals to area children.
It's something that the market has wanted since day one when we opened the doors a little over 3 years ago now. And we're super excited to be able to finally start that process. It's going to be a pretty big project, but we're excited.
And the Empire Market is still in need of volunteers. We have got a link to their site in this story over on KOAMnewsnow.com. The Shoal Creek Conservation Education Center had 4-staters racing against the clock in a nature escape room today. Groups had 30 minutes to solve clues and puzzles that would teach them new things about different Missouri species. This event was a bit different from the educational events they normally host, and a naturalist with the center says they hope it helped area residents learn something new.
They got to explore something with a tarantula, and then there's our long-nosed gar that's really cool to be able to take a look at as well. So lots of cool things that are happening in our escape room. We just wanted something a little bit different to entice folks that maybe have come to our more traditional programs to come and explore nature in a different way.
And the activity was open to all age groups, and any group who was able to solve their puzzles before the time was up won a prize. Good deal. It is now time for us to honor one of our many 4-state heroes, and tonight we recognize Burnett Tolles of Dennis, Kansas. Tolles served in the U.S. Army and he fought in the Battle of the Bulge. Thank you, sir, for your service and for fighting for freedom. For more information on all our 4-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com. And we'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, that volcano in La Palma, Spain refuses to let up, and it's continued to destroy island property. We've got an update right after weather.
After putting up with rain for what seemed like forever for a good portion of this week, we finally managed to dry things out just in time for the weekend, and certainly a quieter weekend compared to how we dealt with so many thunderstorm chances last weekend. This time around, though, the live shot from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, at least throughout the entire evening, has been staying pretty quiet, and thankfully that's how it's going to stay as we go through the rest of the night. With the departing storm system, we can see quite a difference in temperatures, was what I'm trying to say here. We spent much of yesterday, even though the rain cleared out after Friday morning, temperatures stuck around 50 throughout much of the day. But as the cloud cover cleared out, look at how cold it got. It's in the upper 30s this morning, mid to upper 30s as a matter of fact. Before, we saw a nice rebound with highs today topping out around 63, at least in Joplin Regional Airport. And it's nice to also see not a lot of activity on the radar network in the Skywatch Storm Tracker. A nice change of pace considering all the rain that we picked up, which averages out to 1.7 inches. We have gotten a chance to dry things out, but unfortunately, if you don't want any more rain, we do see more rain chances in the forecast as we go into the coming week. But looking outside again, that view from 7th and Rangeline kept quiet all evening long. We're going to continue with mostly clear skies to at least start the overnight out. But there is one change on the way as we wrap up the weekend. You can kind of see it already with the wider view as the wind arrows coming out of the north, out in central and western Kansas, and clashing with our more southerly winds around here. That's our next cold front working on through. It's going to make it a little bit chillier for tomorrow, but thankfully not a lot of moisture with the system. So we'll keep it dry for Halloween, but I'm keeping an eye on one wave passing in Canada and a few waves trying to get together out in the western U.S. because that's going to be the main drivers for rain chances as we go toward the middle of the week especially. Looking at the future track though, it's easy to see that we keep quiet throughout the course of the night, but as the cold front rolls on in, there's actually just enough moisture to bring in at least partly cloudy skies for some as we get tomorrow morning underway. It doesn't change the fact that it's going to be another quite cool start in the morning. At least we'll drop back to about 43 on the average, a lot better than the 30s we saw this morning. Even with the passing front, we'll keep it dry for Halloween. A little bit chilly, 51 by noon, topping out around 58 degrees in downtown Joplin. So during the day on our Halloween, not too bad. Partly sunny with highs mainly in the upper 50s. But when it comes to trick-or-treating, we don't have to worry about rain chances this go around, but you might need the jackets to go along with the costumes. We'll be at 56 at 5 o'clock, 49 by 7, and into the mid-40s while we keep partly cloudy and dry for Halloween night. Then this weak wave out in Canada brings in just enough energy for some rain chances on Monday, but a stronger wave out west that'll pass right on top of the region wants to bring in better rain chances and quite a bit of cloud cover too, mainly for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And as those rain chances and cloud cover ramp up, you can see what it does with temperatures. After we get past a nice Halloween with highs around 58, we'll drop to 51 on Monday, only near 50 for Tuesday. Mid-40s if we can manage it with all the clouds and the rain on Wednesday. Fortunately, Mike, we'll get rid of the rain chances after Thursday morning. Highs back near 49, and we'll be back at least with dry weather and highs in the lower to middle 50s for the coming weekend.
Well, thanks again, Nick Kelly. And Nick, I've got a volcano update. I love checking in on this volcano. The Cumbre Vieja volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma continues to erupt with no signs of slowing down. Flows of lava are destroying everything in their path, including buildings, cars, and farmland. Footage shared by a professor living in La Palma shows lava and molten rock approaching a house and burning a car. The volcano has led to the evacuations of more than 7,000 people and has already destroyed more than 2,000 buildings. Fortunately, no deaths have resulted from the destruction. When we return, we've got a health update on the Queen. Buckingham Palace says that the Queen is being told to rest by her doctors and is going to have an effect on her schedule. And we've got that story and more right after this short break. Welcome back to your News at 9. The lingering question about the origin of the novel coronavirus that set off a global pandemic remains unanswered. A new government report was still not able to pinpoint how the virus got its start. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson has the latest from Washington.
This is the most detailed report U.S. intelligence has released to date, although the conclusions are the same ones released back in August. An official tells Fox the only change is the supporting evidence that was made public Friday. Overall, the proverbial smoking gun remains elusive. Here's what the 18-page report says. 4 intel agencies give low confidence to the natural exposure theory that this occurred in nature from animal to human. 1 intel agency gives moderate confidence to a laboratory-associated incident. This is the so-called lab leak theory in Wuhan. 3 intel agencies can't come to any conclusion without additional information. China has not been helpful in supplying, officials say. Part of the justification of the lab leak theory is the fact employees of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, located in the same city in China where the first COVID cases were discovered in late 2019, had conducted research on other coronaviruses in the past, a point lawmakers such as Senator Tom Cotton have been making since the start of the pandemic. Many analysts and lawmakers don't think this is a coincidence. Many GOP lawmakers have questioned Dr. Fauci and others for using taxpayer dollars to fund so-called gain-of-function research of the Wuhan lab to increase transmissibility.
The real question in my mind is not whether it was or wasn't gain of function. It's just what was it? What was funded? What was happening in the Wuhan lab? And that's what we really need to get to the bottom of.
The U.S. intel report says China's cooperation most likely would be needed to reach a conclusive assessment of the origins of COVID-19. Beijing, however, continues to hinder the global investigation, resist sharing information, and blame other countries, including the United States. The The report does state one thing with certainty. It says China did not unleash COVID as a biological weapon. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Buckingham Palace says that Queen Elizabeth II has been advised to rest for at least the next 2 weeks. The palace said in a statement that the 95-year-old monarch can continue to undertake light desk-based duties during that time, including some virtual audiences. But she will be unable to travel to the Festival of Remembrance on Saturday, November 13th. When we return, we have got an update from the G20 conference in Rome.
The leaders of some of the world's most powerful countries sit down to discuss critical issues facing the entire world. I'm Peter Ducey in Rome with details about the G20 next.
Welcome back to your news at 9. South Koreans flocked to the Itaewon neighborhood in Seoul today to get a jump on celebrating Halloween. Many of them wore costumes that portrayed characters from the popular Netflix series Squid Game, which is based in South Korea. One mother said she was proud to see characters made in Korea taking the center stage at the festivities. South Korea is Asia's 4th largest economy. The country has built a reputation as a global entertainment hub with its vibrant pop culture. Netflix says 142 million households have watched Squid Game since its debut in September. Well, stay right there. We have got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14, and still to come, some companies are now offering truck drivers hiring incentives as a way to fight the labor shortages impact on the national supply chain. Plus, labor shortages aren't just impacting blue-collar work. The pet industry is now seeing a shortage of veterinarians. We'll be right back. Some companies are now offering truck drivers hiring incentives as a way to fight the labor shortages impact on the national supply chain. Fox News' Bridget Chavez takes a look.
The trucking industry is taking a hard hit.
There's always been a shortage in truck driving. But this is probably the highest I've ever seen.
Willie Erickson owns Western Pacific Truck School. He says the dynamics of truck driving have changed drastically. Now, for some companies, new graduates don't have to have 2 years of long-haul driving experience before they can get local work.
Now you got local work, and that's more attractive because, if a person was coming in and say, I want to get a CDL license, well, you have to go 2 years over the road before you can get that local driving position. That's a turnoff for a lot of people, obviously. That is no longer a barrier now. Now it's local work, and every company locally is hiring.
Companies both local and national are trying to attract drivers with incentives.
Now, students that come in here, we have up to 16 local companies coming in and recruiting every 3 weeks. They're getting local driving jobs for $26 an hour coming right out of school.
But for some positions, like one by U.S. Foods that offers a $25,000 sign-on bonus, read the fine print. You have to have at least a few years of experience.
For qualified drivers, that's not unusual in the business. They've always had sign-on bonuses. But for students coming right out of school and then a sign-on bonus, I haven't seen that yet.
Labor shortages aren't just impacting blue-collar work. The pet industry is now seeing shortages of veterinarians. Fox News' Christina Rendon has more on what's leading many vets to leave the workforce.
Kathy King drove from Mountain View to Concord to drop off her dog Brogan at Sage Veterinary Centers. Brogan has a heart condition.
I came all the way up to Concord to a specialist, a cardiologist.
She was lucky to snag an appointment.
In fact, I got in here on a cancellation. They had, I was looking at a couple of months to get in.
Neurology's booked out probably about 2 months.
Dr. Lissa Richardson says the vet shortage across the country is due to a number of reasons. Vets have a high burnout rate. Many are rethinking their work-life balance, choosing drop-in work instead, and not enough doctors and nurses are graduating out of vet school.
So we have openings for internal medicine, surgery, cardiology, neurology, oncology, and ER docs. We could use another 6 ER docs in this facility alone.
The pandemic made the problem worse. Pet owners delayed checkups and vaccinations. Now almost every clinic is struggling to keep up with the demand, working under COVID safety protocols that have put a strain on efficiency. Some are cutting their 24-hour emergency services and transitioning to urgent care like Berkeley Dog and Cat Hospital. This clinic is ending its boarding facility and will stop seeing exotic animals mid-December. Other vets have simply closed.
The instant one neighboring facility goes down or their wait times are so long that people are calling around, we feel the increased flow here.
Shelters feel it too.
The shelters are vying for those few veterinarians just like private practices are, and many are losing out. And so we have a whole population of animals in shelters who are not receiving care, or their care is endangered because of this.
Dr. Jennifer Scarlett, president of the San Francisco SPCA, says nationwide there may be a shortage of vets by 3,000 to 5,000. That number is expected to grow to 14,000 by the year 2030.
You're super nervous.
Vets are asking the public to have patience, stay on top of scheduling appointments and medications for your pet. Christina Rendon, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
After putting up with rain for what seemed like forever for a good portion of this week, we finally managed to dry things out just in time for the weekend, and certainly a quieter weekend compared to how we dealt with many thunderstorm chances last weekend. This time around, though, the live shot from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, at least throughout the entire evening, has been staying pretty quiet, and thankfully that's how it's going to stay as we go through the rest of the night. With the departing storm system, we can see quite a difference in temperatures, was what I'm trying to say here. We spent much of yesterday, even though the rain cleared out after Friday morning, temperatures stuck around 50 throughout much of the day. But as the cloud cover cleared out, look at how cold it got. It's in the upper 30s this morning, mid to upper 30s as a matter of fact. Before, we saw a nice rebound with highs today topping out around 63, at least in Joplin Regional Airport. And it's nice to also see not a lot of activity on the radar network in the Skywatch Storm Tracker. A nice change of pace considering all the rain that we picked up, which averages out to 1.7 inches. We have gotten a chance to dry things out, but unfortunately, if you don't want any more rain, we do see more rain chances in the forecast as we go into the coming week. But looking outside again, that view from 7th and Rangeline kept quiet all evening long. We're going to continue with mostly clear skies to at least start the overnight out. But there is one change on the way as we wrap up the weekend. You can kind of see it already with the wider view as the wind arrows coming out of the north, out in central and western Kansas, and clashing with our more southerly winds around here. That's our next cold front working on through. It's going to make it a little bit chillier for tomorrow, but thankfully not a lot of moisture with the system. So we'll keep it dry for Halloween, but I'm keeping an eye on one wave passing in Canada and a few waves trying to get together out in the western U.S. because that's going to be the main drivers for rain chances as we go toward the middle of the week especially. Looking at the future track though, it's easy to see that we keep quiet throughout the course of the night, but as the cold front rolls on in, there's actually just enough moisture to bring in at least partly cloudy skies for some as we get tomorrow morning underway. It doesn't change the fact that it's going to be another quite cool start in the morning. At least we'll drop back to about 43 on the average, a lot better than the 30s we saw this morning. Even with the passing front, we'll keep it dry for Halloween. A little bit chilly, 51 by noon, topping out around 58 degrees in downtown Joplin. So during the day on our Halloween, not too bad. Partly sunny with highs mainly in the upper 50s. But when it comes to trick-or-treating, we don't have to worry about rain chances this go around, but you might need the jackets to go along with the costumes. We'll be at 56 at 5 o'clock, 49 by 7, and into the mid-40s while we keep partly cloudy and dry for Halloween night. Then this weak wave out in Canada brings in just enough energy for some rain chances on Monday, but a stronger wave out west that'll pass right on top of the region wants to bring in better rain chances and quite a bit of cloud cover too, mainly for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And as those rain chances and cloud cover ramp up, you can see what it does with temperatures. After we get past a nice Halloween with highs around 58, we'll drop to 51 on Monday, only near 50 for Tuesday. Mid-40s if we can manage it with all the clouds and the rain on Wednesday. Fortunately, Mike, we'll get rid of the rain chances after Thursday morning. Highs back near 49, and we'll be back at least with dry weather and highs in the lower to middle 50s for the coming weekend.
Sports Director Jacob Leonard and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report. That is coming right up.
Well, both the Pittsburgh State Gorillas and Missouri Southern Lions are at home this weekend in Week 9 of the MIAA season. Pittsburgh State welcomes in Central Oklahoma today, aiming for their third straight win. Now, the Gorillas enter the day at 6-2 with 3 games remaining. UCO is 500 at 4-4. First quarter, Max Sexton to Devin Garrison. 16-yard touchdown. Pitt State on top 7-0. Trying to add to the lead here, check out Cross Holmes. Into the wind, 54 yards. Just has enough. Gorillas get their lead to 10. 4 field goals today for Holmes, by the way. Second quarter, Tyler Adkins punches it in from 2 yards out. At that point, Pitt State up 20-7. Then they get a play on defense. It's Galena High School product PJ Sarwinski. There for the interception. They would get a field goal off of that to take a 16-point lead to the break. In the third quarter, Pitt State defense still working. Dubin Mokonkwo blows up the play, gets the strip sack, forces a punt. And in the fourth, though, Central Oklahoma creeps back in. Josh Moore from Keats Calhoun. UCO outscores Pitt State 13-0 in the fourth. But the Gorillas hold on to win a tight one, winning 26-20.
Defense played well today, I thought. We battled, and that's what we got to do when we're on the ropes. They got us on the ropes. We battled and fought back.
We struggled to run the ball and pass the ball. We couldn't really get first downs, but at the end of the day, great teams find ways to win, and that's what we did today.
We made it hard on ourselves for 60 minutes today. Thought our defense was outstanding. Special teams, for the most part, was good other than the turnover, but a win. This late in the season, MIAA, we'll take every time.
As for Missouri Southern, the Lions hit the field this afternoon against Missouri Western. And both of those teams are 3-5 through 8 weeks. The Lions try to bounce back after a 3-point loss at Emporia last weekend. They're down 17-6 late in the second. Reagan Jones keeps it but fumbles. It's recovered by Ian McSwain to give the Lions the ball back. Then later in the drive, 3rd and goal. Dawson Hurl finds his tight end Keandre Bledsoe. 2-point conversion is good. Lions down by just 3 at half with a little momentum. Griffins, though, come out fast in the third. Jones connects with Cooper Burton for a 40-yard touchdown. The Lions down 17 in the third. Hurl finds Jarmichael Cooper in the end zone. Cuts it to 31-21. Missouri Southern will score again in the fourth. Cooper's second touchdown of the day. Lions, though, cannot keep up. Missouri Western tops Missouri Southern in the end, 45-28.
The smaller the field is, the more it's just brute strength. It's just 2 guys in a phone booth, and that's where the physicality kind of shows up. And so, again, as we progress as a program, we've got to find ways to be able to be the more physical team in the red zone on those 3rd and shorts, those 3rd and 2s. That's what's going to pay dividends for us.
Well, today is the opening day of the postseason for Joplin High School boys soccer. And Joplin is the 4 seed in the Class 4 District 5 bracket after going 15-6 in the regular season. Now, the Eagles hit the field against Republic in Carthage in the first round of districts. Joplin wins a good one, 2-1. The Eagles move on now to face Kickapoo in the district semifinals on Tuesday. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
In honor of Halloween, Fox News' Chad Pergram dives into the haunted past of our nation's capital.
When people come to Washington, they bask in the grandeur of Capitol Hill. But for this journey, we'll go deep into the Capitol catacombs for tales of the congressional macabre. The U.S. Capitol is a seemingly haunted place, mysterious sounds of a custodian who passed on. Some can still hear her scrubbing the floors late at night. Or you might hear Pennsylvania Senator Boyce Penrose in a rocking chair reading the bills late at night. The military converted the U.S. Capitol into a field hospital for Union soldiers during the Civil War. Some have reported sightings of those soldiers wandering the building even today.
Some of them have continued to stay here. A lot of soldiers died here, and they were very idealistic at that point, and their spirits would be here.
Joe Novotny just retired from the House after 30 years. You've seen him on C-SPAN as the House reading clerk. And Novotny's observed some weird things in the House chamber late at night after everybody else is gone.
All of a sudden, in the well of the chamber, like directly in front of me, I see a man walk in front of me. And I look up immediately to see who it is, and there was nobody there. You tell yourself, is this real? But it was vivid.
Capitol Ghost Stories are history by another name.
It's popular history. It's a way that people can remember, sometimes misremember, but it's a way that they can remember figures and events from the past.
Any 200-year-old building is going to have ghost stories, and the U.S. Capitol is no exception. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
We are not done with spooky stories from our nation's capital. With Fox News' Chad Pergram. Here is Chad with more Capitol Ghost Stories.
You've heard about tales from the crypt, but how about tales from the congressional crypt? Some politicians naturally have skeletons in their closets, but some real skeletons haunt Capitol Hill. Congressional Cemetery is one spooky spot. Visitors can wander the graveyard for soul strolls, nighttime tours. You'll encounter the grave of Robert Slight, a carpenter who fell to his death in the Capitol Rotunda, and Tobias Lear, George Washington's top aide, who later shot himself. Congressional Cemetery is the final resting place of many prominent Americans and members of Congress. But once they yield back the balance of their time, many still haunt the U.S. Capitol just a few blocks from here.
Any building with a 200-plus year history, and especially as fraught a history as has been seen in the United States Capitol, is bound to have some interest and intrigue and perhaps a little bit of history that's difficult to explain.
The voice of President John Quincy Adams is said to haunt Statuary Hall. Adams died in what was then the Speaker's office. However, the legend of the Demon Cat is one of the most startling of all Capitol ghost stories.
The Demon Cat prowls about the halls of the Capitol when things are quiet and empty and dark.
You think Congress gets a hostile press now? Try back in 1890. Actual drops of blood from Kentucky Congressman William Talby are impressed into the marble of a Capitol staircase. A reporter named Charles Kincaid shot and killed Talby there. Talby hated reporters, and the legend goes that Talby's ghost sometimes trips the press corps as revenge.
I have never tripped going up and
Only
down the
reporters,
stairs.
though?
Only reporters, yes.
Now, would this apply to reporters in other parts of the building, maybe trying to interview the Canadian Prime Minister? There's disagreement as to whether or not the Capitol is actually haunted, or as Stephen King says, sometimes we make up horrors to help us cope with the real ones. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Staff at this Seattle aquarium got totally submerged in some Halloween fun. Some Seattle aquarium employees showed off for the kids with this underwater carving of a jack-o'-lantern. This diver made a happy face for an audience for the aquarium's annual Halloween carving event, while fish swam around and inspected the final product. These fish-o'-lanterns will be on display at the aquarium through Halloween. We're not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we are checking out a zoo down in Santa Barbara, California that's really getting into the Halloween spirit. That story and more are next. Welcome back to your News at 9. In Mason County, Washington, some salmon apparently lost their GPS. The salmon were diverted off the Skokomosh River after the water went above the flood stage, and the wayward fish found themselves swimming across the road. Some passerbys couldn't help but stop and admire the salmon doing what they had to do to survive. The Skokomosh River had a flood warning in effect until earlier this morning. Some common African lions gave birth to a pair of uncommon cubs. Two rare white African lion cubs were born last Sunday in an animal reserve in southern Spain. The Global White Lion Protection Trust says the animals are not albinos but a generic rarity from an area in South Africa's Kruger National Park. The two 5-day-old male and female white lion cubs were transferred into a special room to control their feeding. White lions were removed from the wild and placed in captive breeding and hunting operations in the 1930s. Technically, they can still be hunted despite only 13 living in the wild in their natural habitat. The Santa Barbara Zoo is getting into the Halloween spirit with its Spooky Zoo event. Parents got a chance to dress up their kids and enjoy some trick-or-treating surrounded by exotic animals. The event featured photo ops, plenty of Halloween decorations, and fun things for both kids and adults to check out. Going to the zoo with my mom is one of my favorite things to do, so adding candy to the mix only makes it better in my opinion. For most of us, 9 o'clock in the morning is a little too early to start drinking beer, but the usual rules don't apply to jurors at the Brussels Beer Challenge. They say that in the morning the taste buds are unspoiled and that the mind is rested, which is very important. The judges say that the process of ranking dozens of beers a day requires concentration. Organizers call it the most significant competition in the industry. 1,800 different types of beer are judged by a panel of 75 international experts flown in from as far as Brazil and the United States. The competition is called the Olympic Games for Beer. Hey, we'll say thanks so much for stopping by on this Saturday evening. And you know what? Today is the birthday of one of my best friends and a regular viewer, Mary Machado. And Mary, happy birthday, and thanks so much for always tuning in on the weekends. And to all of you folks, have a great night and stay safe out there.